Bangladesh, we are used to having disaster in the forms of flood, most commonly, especially in the coastal area, where 23 districts are affected most of the times.
And the first need which comes out very, very openly is about food security. The community doesn't have access to the food at the right time, in the right quantity.
We have observed that different organizations implement different disaster program in different ways. There was no coordination among the organizations. Before activation of food security cluster here, some beneficiaries got benefits from various organizations and some are out of the benefits.
We cannot reach the people on time because of lack of coordination. We cannot distribute the food on time because of lack of coordination. So better coordination means better achievement.
Food security cluster is a platform where the organizations who are working in the food security field come together, discuss about their response plan to have a common understanding, so that when the emergency happens, things can move very fast and assistance can go to the people very quickly in an efficient way without duplication.
And they include UN agencies like WFP and FAO, but also international NGOs, local NGOs obviously, and the authority.
You are just making sure you're not duplicating actions, you are covering all the things, you are getting everybody's perspective on the table and are able to look at the collective need and establish a collective need and act on it collectively. The objective should be to deliver the best possible response in the shortest possible time.
We've seen a change over time as the government and the NGOs and the other institutions in the country have become more and more capable, that these periodic problems that are experienced in terms of flooding, of cyclone and so on and storms are no longer resulting in the massive loss of life and the major disruption to livelihood, because the institutions are better able to respond. And so a food security cluster is part of that improved effort of coordination.
In non-disaster period, we sit together quarterly. It is necessary because we can map what resources we have in different organizations. If any disaster came, how fast we can rescue or we can rehabilitate, we can support the people.
Since we are continuously facing disasters day by day, every year, I think we need to get prepared to face, at least to minimize the death, minimize the people suffering.
Where have the problems been historically? What are the nature of those problems? What could be done to better prepare so that something that may once have been a major crisis is no longer a big disaster? It can actually be managed properly.
So my job, I am the cluster coordinator for the food security cluster. The local actors, the local NGO needs to be involved in the food security cluster because usually they are the first actors in the field. They are the implementers, they are the one doing the response.
Under this cluster, maximum utilization of resources could be done. As a member of that cluster, we have some responsibility. As we have grassroots level officers and also field workers.
local organizations are on the ground. So if anything happens, if there is any disaster, because they are already on the ground and people know them already, they have the geographical location at their palm, they start the assessment immediately. And the information they provide is being used for the initial assessment. So that makes them a very key partner.
If you include local agencies in the food security cluster, that will increase the capacity of the cluster.
What we need is long-standing relationship to work. Like partnership cannot be built over time. In the time of need, they need to be built over time and they need to sustain.
On the other side, I mean, it's also very important for the local actors to work very closely with the food security cluster because that provides them with access to certain resources.
It is good to have one person meeting with the government to raise their voice, to be heard.
Because also we want kind of shifting the power. We want local actors to be more involved, and they need to be part of the picture.
Rescue and response is very important. And if we want to do perfectly the rescue and response, it needs better coordination among local partners, INGO, government, development partner, and whatever the stakeholders.
Well, my message now to the local organizations and the local authorities is also to embrace this initiation that is brought to them. Of course, there has been some work in some direction, but we really want them to embrace it and to ensure that they are fully part of it, not only to be involved, but to actively participate in the coordination activities.
Local NGOs should be as lead or co-lead organizations in future for the sustainability of the activities of food security. Capacity building of local NGOs, it is very important for future activities of food security cluster and shouldering the responsibility.